question to you actually is more around the Microsoft and the FinOps side of things. And you mentioned licensing terms, conditions change, and all that kind of stuff. Do you see or envisage any quick wins that ITAM can bring to FinOps in terms of, it sounds quite complicated, bring your own licensing and hybrid use rights and all that kind of stuff. But are there any quick wins that ITAM can bring to kind of win FinOps over in the short term?
I think Azure hybrid benefit is absolutely the number one. So if your organization isn't using it, getting them to use it, because that, if you've got loads of on-premises Windows Server and SQL Server licenses with software assurance, it makes sense. The BYOL pricing is always cheaper than the pay-as-you-go pricing. So it's silly not to, really. And that can still be quite a project, working out what's in the cloud and what licenses you've got, and how many cores do you need, all those cores, and then you get into things, reserved instances and things like that, which is perhaps more a FinOps side of things, but looking at maybe where you can renegotiate your Microsoft contract, or if you've got a renewal coming up, working with the FinOps team to say, right, if you can tell me what you're predicting over the next few years, maybe we can get a better discount on Azure, or we can sign a slightly different type of agreement or something. So I think that works. And then there are other areas, let's say, that they're quite niche, but there are certain bits where, if you're doing things in Azure and you've got certain Microsoft 365 licenses, actually you can get a reduction on specific Azure spend. And that's the kind of thing that FinOps won't know, because they won't know, A, the Microsoft rules, and B, if you have those specific licenses. And then you get things, Azure test and dev environments and things, just letting the FinOps team know, actually, if we put these resources in this kind of environment, we can get 50% off on X, Y, and Z. And some FinOps teams, may already know about that, but I think the majority of them, they're focused on cloud rather than vendors. So I think, really, just coming along and saying, with Microsoft, your hybrid benefits, contract renewals and negotiations, and the Azure test and dev, one or more of those three, I think, will pay dividends quite quickly. And it's a great way of starting that relationship as well.
Rich, if anyone watching or listening out there is struggling to kind of get to grips with Microsoft licensing and their cloud estate, or even Microsoft licensing in general, how can you support them? Can you support them? I mean, obviously, no, that sounds really bad. Hold on, let me start that again, because that makes it sound like you can't. Hold on. Okay, right, I know. So I got the first bit right. It's just that last bit. I don't know why I tripped up myself, made it sound like you can't help them. So, Rich, if someone's struggling with the whole FinOps, Microsoft Cloud, or even just Microsoft licensing in general, because it is an absolute minefield, and like you said, you spend a lot of your time just trying to keep up to date with the change in terms, conditions, and license rules. How can you help people? How can you help ITAM managers and organizations as a whole?
Another very good question. So yeah, there's a range of things that I can help people with. Some of it is, just almost like a change log of, right, we did our renewal, we last did our renewal 3 years ago. What's changed in these areas since then? And sometimes me just saying, oh, well, actually, those products don't exist anymore, and now this is licensed totally differently. That can be enough. And sometimes, looking at a current situation and saying, right, this is how we've got SQL, or this is how we've got Windows Server, and looking where I can help optimize it. Certainly, if you're looking at moving things into the cloud, first thing, as it stands, is it allowed to go in the cloud? And then even if it is, could we license it differently, or should we go with a platform as a service option rather than licensing? Doing those bits and pieces. So that there's quite a lot to be done in sort of traditional sense of looking at the licensing, what you've got, but also some of the things that I like to do. So kind of roadmap sessions of showing an organization, this is where Microsoft are going, this is where you're going, and then trying to work out, do those two lines, do they ever meet? Or and because Microsoft are changing so many things which they used to be massively obsessed with, now they almost don't care about anymore. So there's changes there. So I mean, I would say, not sort of famous last words almost, but I would say almost anything that are Microsoft related, I can help one way or another. And I think, because it changes so rapidly, getting external help, obviously, me, but there's plenty of other people out there as well. I think it does help. It allows you to do what you need to do and not have to worry about trying to keep up with the changes. And even if you know the changes, then you have to work out, what do they mean? How do they apply? But yeah, I think anyone looking for overview of Microsoft, or what their licensing means, where they're going, anything like that, get me on LinkedIn, probably the easiest thing to do, and happy to help.
Awesome. Legend.